it chapter by chapter, one bite at a time. So many adventures and mountains we can climb. Take it word for word, line by line, one bite at a time.
Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. If you want to know what's coming next and vote on upcoming books, sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. You can find most of our links in the show notes, but also our website, biteatatimebooks.com, includes all of the links for our show, including to our Patreon to support the show, and YouTube, where we have special behind the narration of the episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic authors to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please note, while we try to keep the text as close to the original as possible, some words have been changed to honor the marginalized communities who've identified the words as harmful, and to stay in alignment with Bite at a Time Books' brand values. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 8. Post Corda Lapides. After having sketched its moral face, it will not prove unprofitable to point out, in a few words, its material configuration. The reader already has some idea of it. The convent of the Petit Picpus Saint Antoine filled almost the whole of the vast trapezium which resulted from the intersection of the Rue Polonceau, the Rue Droit Mur, the Rue Petit Picpus, and the unused lane called Rue Amréus. On old plans. These four streets surrounded this trapezium like a moat. The convent was composed of several buildings and a garden. The principal building, taken in its entirety, was a juxtaposition of hybrid constructions, which, viewed from a bird's-eye view, outlined, with considerable exactness, a gibbet laid flat on the ground. The main arm of the gibbet occupied the whole of the fragment of the Rue Droit Mur, comprised between the Rue Petit Picpus and the Rue Polonceau. The lesser arm was a lofty, gray, severe-graded facade which faced the Rue Petit Picpus. The carriage entrance, number 62, marked its extremity. Towards the center of this facade was a low, arched door whitened with dust and ashes, where the spiders wove their webs, and which was open only for an hour or two on Sundays. And on rare occasions, when the coffin of a nun left the convent, this was the public entrance of the church. The elbow of the gibbet was a square hall which was used as a servants' hall, and which the nuns called the buttery. In the main arm were the cells of the mothers, the sisters, and the novices. In the lesser arm lay the kitchens, the refectory, backed up by the cloisters and the church. Between the door number 62 and the corner of the closed Amréus lane was the school, which was not visible from without. The remainder of the trapezium formed the garden, which was much lower than the level of the Rue Polonceau, which caused the walls to be very much higher on the inside than on the outside. The garden, which was slightly arched, had in its center, on the summit of a hillock, a fine pointed and conical fir tree, whence ran, as from the peaked boss of a shield, 4 grand alleys, and ranged by twos in between the branchings of these 8 small ones, so that if the enclosure had been circular, the geometrical plan of the alleys would have resembled a cross superimposed on a wheel. As the alleys all ended in the very irregular walls of the garden, they were of unequal length. They were bordered with currant bushes. At the bottom, an alley of tall poplars ran from the ruins of the old convent, which was at the angle of the Rue Droit Mur to the house of the little convent, which was at the angle of the Amareus Lane. In front of the little convent was what was called the Little Garden. To this hole, let the reader add a courtyard, all sorts of varied angles formed by the interior buildings, prison walls, the long black line of roofs which bordered the other side of the Rue Polonceau, for its sole perspective and neighborhood, and he will be able to form for himself a complete image of what the house of the Bernardines of the Petit Picpus was 40 years ago. The Holy House had been built on the precise site of a famous tennis ground of the 14th to the 16th century, which was called the tennis ground of the 11,000 Devils. All of these streets, moreover, were more ancient than Paris. These names, Droit Mur and Amareus, are very ancient. The streets which bear them are very much more ancient still. Amareus Lane was called Magot Lane. The Rue Droit Mur was called the Rue des Églantines, for God opened flowers before man cut stones. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com and check out the shop. You can check out the show notes or our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media as well.